Hey, I'm Hannah Weiss, the Director of Education at the Science Museum of Western Virginia, and this is your Moment of STEM. And this week, we're going to talk about Pokemon. That's right, I'm continuing my now 3-week geek streak and talking about another really awesome geeky topic. So yeah, Pokemon. I grew up with Pokemon, and a couple of years ago, when Pokemon Go came out, I was, let's say, pleasantly surprised to discover that I really could still name an embarrassing number of the Gen 1 Pokemon from their silhouettes. But it turns out I'm actually not alone in that skill. In fact, just recently, researchers published a study trying to kind of figure out where that is in our brain. And it turns out those of us who grew up with Pokemon kind of have a Pokedex in our brains. See, these researchers compared a group of adults who had grown up with Pokemon, playing the games, with a group of adults who hadn't. And they did brain imaging on them as they flashed them random Pokemon. And they found out that the adults who had grown up with Pokemon, whether or not they recognized the image that was shown to them, had kind of a cluster of activity in a specific region of their brain, and actually a shared region of their brain, anytime a Pokemon was shown. And more reliably than those adults who hadn't grown up with Pokemon. Interestingly enough, this study is not the only time Pokemon have shown up in brain studies. A few years back, there was another study done about Pokemon and memory, in which, again, 2 groups of adults, one who had grown up with Pokemon and one who hadn't, were shown images of the first generation Pokemon and then images of later generation Pokemon, and then asked to kind of identify them. And it was discovered that the adults that had grown up with Pokemon did a lot better identifying the later generation Pokemon than those who hadn't, even if they didn't have any recent experience with them. Turns out that gave us a lot of really interesting information about our, short and long-term memory. The more reliably we have something in our long-term memory that we can connect to something in our short-term memory, the better we are at recalling it, which is really cool. And I guess means that all of that time playing Who's That Pokemon didn't go to waste. If you'd like to explore any more deeply any of the research that we've talked about today, you can check out any of the links below. Otherwise, I'm Hannah Weiss from the Science Museum of Western Virginia, and I have a ton of amazing, amazing Pokemon memories, which I'm sure you do too. If you have any memories that you'd like to share, stick them in the comments below. I would love to see them.